It's interesting that this rationalistic history is very weak in being able to provide causes for certain effects. Not being able to know something is no proof that it doesn't exist.
You begin by looking in the record, and all you find is emptiness. And you end up in the desert, and all you see is emptiness. But perhaps the emptiness is the answer. Maybe Mecca gave Islam what it most needed: a blank sheet where Muslims could put their prophet beyond the reach of history.
Professor, do you think that what I am doing is complicit with the brute fact of Western imperialism, Western hegemony?
No, not necessarily. As long as you remain aware of what you're doing. If you come as a Western scholar or historian, and in all honesty, present what your worldview is, and let's say when I look at the Islamic world, from this paradigm, this is what I see, and bring out why this is different from how Muslims see themselves. That, I think, is a very honest effort, and is a good effort. But if you try to act as a doctor to a child, take this medicine, is good for you, you don't know, you're eating the wrong thing, this is how it should be, that's where the problem begins. And the Muslim world is not going to accept that. The days when the British would bring scholars from England to teach Indians how to be Hindus and Muslims is finished. It's finished.
It's true, before I began, I did have preconceptions. I was brought up a Christian, but I was also brought up in an environment that questions everything. Studying ancient history is a process of paint stripping, tearing away stories that you want to believe the literal truth of.
This is supposed to be Mount Sinai, where Moses saw the burning bush, where God gave him the 10 Commandments. But there's no historical evidence for any of this. Christian monastery, Roman fortifications, the old partnership, God and empire. Between them, they turned this place into Sinai. In my heart, I want to believe it, but my head won't let me.
We believed that there was a living tradition kept by the people here, that this is where God had revealed himself in an extraordinary way.
How much would it matter if it turned out that this wasn't the place where Moses had received the 10 Commandments?
But the spiritual encounter with God is more important. The reality is there, even if your eyes aren't open to see things in actuality. God is always present, but you're not aware of his presence.
Ultimately, the city of God matters more than the city of man.
Yes.
But as a historian, I have to presume that the city of God was built by man as well. I wanted to map the human past in human terms, to make a map that fits the facts. But I travelled to places where the maps revealed a heavenly plan, sacred lands, sacred places. A world where you don't have to believe in God to feel the power of God. This is the Promised Land. Some call it Israel, some call it Palestine. A land where Muslims, Christians, and Jews still fight over the story of a promise made by God to Abraham thousands of years ago. Was there really a promise? It's not for the historian to say. But the world believers make in the name of God, that is what history is about. Even today, more people die for visions of heaven than they ever do for historical facts. Stories that never happened can be infinitely more powerful than stories that did. I set out to write the story of the beginnings of Islam. If you're a Muslim, then there's no problem. Everything is explained by God. But I'm not a Muslim. And I don't think that civilizations appear like lightning from a clear blue sky. What I think now is that Islam emerged from a whole range of circumstances. From the religions and the empires and the convulsions of the world that witnessed its birth. And yes, of course, it is still the case. The black hole that surrounds Islam's beginnings doesn't give up its secrets easily. But maybe we are getting somewhere. The search for the historical Muhammad, for the origins of the Quran, for the whereabouts of the first sanctuary, for the way Islam evolved out of the Arab Empire. These are pieces of a whole new story.